place prepared just for me. I'm going away. I'm going I'm going away. I'm going away. Yes, I am. No more tears or sorrows over there. We will live free from every care. I'm going away. Nobody there to put me out, 'cause I'm going away. Yes, I am. I'm going away. Hey, hey, hey. I'm going away. Oh, yes, I am. going away. Oh, yes. I'm going away. I'm going away. Oh, yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. I'm going away. It won't be very long. I'm going away. I'm going away. Summer mornings. It won't be very long. You look for me, and I'll be gone. Going to glory. Where I'll sing and shout. There'll be nobody there to put me out. I'm going away. Yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. I'm going away. Oh, yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm going to be with Jesus. I'm going to see him face to face. I'm going away. Help us say it, Lord. I'm going away.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pastor Jack here. Once again in the IRC Madry Temple Church. So glad that you're able to join us once again to give today's sermon. And I want to speak to you. We're going to go right to this from the book of Jeremiah. I want to talk to you from Jeremiah, the 12th chapter. And I want you to walk through these 5 scriptures with me, where in today's sermon, Jeremiah exemplifies the character that I think I would say Jeremiah is speaking on our behalf. Judah, Israel, was once again disobeying God, and Jeremiah was focusing on perhaps the wrong thing. And Jeremiah had a complaint about this because Jeremiah was not looking at God, but Jeremiah was looking at the people who were supposed to be worshiping God, God's people. And Jeremiah, he kind of caught an attitude. Jeremiah was upset because it seemed as if the people that were supposed to be worshiping God, not worshiping God, were the people that was getting more blessed than he was. So Jeremiah was vexed. His soul was vexed. Jeremiah had an issue. And let me just read to you. Let's break this down. Just follow me, if you will, verse by verse. In the book of Jeremiah, the 12th chapter, he says, you are always righteous, O Lord, when I bring a case before you. Yet I will speak with you about your justice. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why do all the faithless live at ease? So Jeremiah is vexed in his soul, but Jeremiah is troubled because he's looking at himself, and he's standing before God, and he's got a problem. And it's amazing that when we have issues with God, we always kind of like challenge God and say, well, God, why is this always happening? Jeremiah was God's man. Jeremiah was God's prophet. But Jeremiah had the problem of trying to deal with his self-interest and focusing on the things of the people. He says, you are right. He comes to this complaint, and he says, you are right, Lord, you are righteous, and I can't argue with that. You are almighty, you are sovereign. But I have some questions about your judgment. I have some issues that I want to complain to you. And Jeremiah, again, he is living out our questions and the character that we have ourselves. And he says, how is it that it always seems that the wicked people are the people that always seems to be getting blessed? they get the better deal. Everything that they touch seems to turn to gold. You know, they always seem to get a better deal. They don't go to church. They don't celebrate you. They don't read the Bibles. They don't go to the prayer services. They don't do the things that you want them to do, but yet it seems like, on the other hand, you are always allowing them to be more blessed than we are. So Jeremiah's got a problem, and Jeremiah's expressing this problem to God. And I know, if truth be told, many of us have issues when we begin to look at how other people are being blessed, more blessed than we are. And we are supposed to be the righteous, the chosen one, as God's children. We are doing everything that we can in our possible will to make sure that we please God. But it seems as if no matter how much we do, no matter how much we try to put forth the best spiritual posture and live out the righteous way, it seems like when we look around or look at somebody else, they always seem to be doing better off than we are. And so Jeremiah's got a problem with that. He said, I go to church, I give my offering, I pay my expenses to the church, I pray, I go to Bible study, I wear my cross around my neck, I carry my Bible, I go to the hospital, I visit friends, I talk about you wherever I go, I fast twice a week, I do whatever I can do to make sure that you're happy. And I live in a small apartment, and in that small apartment that I can't hardly afford, there's one bill after another, and I can't pay the bill, the apartment is small, it's got a big payment on it. I wake up on Sunday morning, and my furnace broke down, and I gotta get to church for Sunday morning, and I rush out of my house after taking a cold shower to go get into my hoopty that I hope will start, and only to look across the street and see my neighbor is washing their beautiful night 2020 Impala. And I begin to ask myself, they don't care about God, they don't care about you, they're not thinking about you, but it seems like, why is it that they are always prospering? So Jeremiah has a problem. He confronts God about this. He confronts him about this. Why do all the faithless live at ease? Why are they all seem to be con artists? You plant them. You look at the Bible and you go on to verse 2. And he says, you have planted them and they have taken root. They grow and they bear fruit. You are always on their lips but far from their heart. Well, Jeremiah is saying they're producing fruit. Their appendages are extending. They're moving out beyond their capacity. They are always blessed. They act like they're friends of yours. They act like they know you. They talk about you. They appear to be your good buddies, your homeboys. That's what they. But they don't care about you. But yet it seems that you're always blessing them. So we look at this, and he says, going on the third verse, says, but you know me. Jeremiah is saying, you know me. I'm your homeboy. I'm your guy. In today's 2020 times, I'm your dog. I'm your man. I'm your ace. I'm your ace. No, I am the guy. You know my thoughts. You know my mind. You know the intents of my heart. You know how I feel inside. You know how I feel about you because you know what I'm thinking about you. And here's the suggestion that he talks to God about what God needs to do. And if you go to the second part of verse 3, he says, here's my suggestion, because we always want to tell God how to run his show. We always want to tell God how to run his business because we have a complaint about how God is treating us versus the people who don't even respect him. So we try to figure out this theological idea of how we want God to treat other people. And in fact, if you think about it, look at what he says about this. He says, let me paraphrase this, but it's a second part of verse 3. He says, drag them out off like sheep to be butchered. Set them apart for the day of slaughter. What he's telling them, and if the truth be told, there are a lot of things that happen in our life that people have done to us that, matter of fact, that we wish God would take them out. If you really want to be serious about this, there's some people that have done some things to us that we haven't liked, and we wish that God would just take them out. And this is what Jeremiah is expressing to God. Jeremiah is saying, just drag them out, bring them to slaughter, because they don't care about you. And we have to be very mindful of that, because remember, this is a complaint. This is a complaint about seeing how other people worship, and seeing how other people serve God or not serve God, and versus the people who truly do serve God. So we have some various point in time have had this erroneous theology that we want God to do something to somebody because of what they said to us, because how they mistreated us, because how they denied us, how they talked about us, how they blamed us, how they ridiculed us. And we want God to take them out, just get rid of them. Jeremiah says this, and look what he says. Verse 4, he says here, now I'm just going to run down through these three. I hope I ain't putting you all to sleep yet. How long will the land be parched? Jeremiah lays out the extensive damage because of the lack of righteousness of his people, that how it has extended upon the land, and he breaks it down to say, he says, the land is parched. We look at today's time, we see that the North Pole, Alaska, the various places, ice is melting, the climate is changing, the birds are dying, the fish are dying. So we can almost relate to this in this day and time of people that are not serving God. Say, why does it seem like we're the ones suffering and the land is suffering and you see us suffering? And they act like, if you look at the last verse, it says, he will not see what happened to us. The birds are perishing. Moreover, the people are saying, he will not see what happens to us. In other words, God, he act like he don't even see it, or he don't care about it, and he's not going to hold us responsible for it. And if he wants to fix it, let God fix it. So you see the mindset of the people that Jeremiah is exposing to God, that as if God didn't know about, but Jeremiah is exposing about their attitude and their behavior and their lack of serving God. So I want to use that as a thought too, if you back up. Running with the footmen. Running with the footmen. And I want you to think about that, because there is a purpose behind running with the footmen. So God is slow to respond to Jeremiah. But yet, God is not unsure about what he wants to say to Jeremiah. And if you look at the fifth verse, he says here, if you have raced with men on foot and they have worn you out, how can you compete with the horses? Now, so let me explain to you about footmen. Footmen are, when a kingdom was attempting to fight or overtake another kingdom, when kings were going to overtake other kings, countries were going to overtake other countries, they would at first send out, before the horses, they would send out tribes, hundreds, thousands of footmen to go and to go before them. And their job, they weren't even the most bravest people. They might have been a little touched or crazy because they were out there on foot, but they weren't the strongest people. They weren't the most intelligent people. They didn't have a lot of arms to carry with them. They didn't have like the arrows. They went out, and their job wasn't to go and defeat the enemy. Their job was to go to the enemy and to cause havoc, to cause chaos, to cause confusion. And many of them knew that they weren't going to make it back. But their job wasn't to go out again and to conquer anyone. Their job was just to go and sow havoc wherever they go, and to basically just wear the people out. And once he wear the people out, then the horsemen would come. And God, my assignment today, what God is telling me and what God was telling Jeremiah, he's telling that if you get worn out, if they're wearing your backside out and you can't hang with them, then how are you going to contend with the horses? So what are the footmen? God is telling us to tell you that the footmen are those things in life that are raising havoc in our life. They are those things that are wearing our backsides out. They are those things, bill coming, footmen. One bill after another, footmen. Your furnace break down, footmen. Your children that left home to go and start another life, move back home, footmen. You can't get that financial bill that you needed in order to buy that business, footmen. Your wife done left you, footmen. Your husband done left you, footmen. The children back on drugs, footmen. These are the things that come, the chaotic situations that come into your life, to challenge your life as though some strange thing is happening. God is telling Jeremiah to answer him. And God is very methodical about this. Now, because when you think about this and you think about the footmen, you would say to yourself, oh, wait a second. The footmen, so what you're telling me, Pastor Jack, is that we are not to to be concerned about the footmen because they're in our everyday lives. And there's something else is going to come beyond the footmen. You're talking about the horses are coming. Well, what God is letting you know is that we have to celebrate the footmen. We have to celebrate the fact that we are capable of running with the footmen, that we haven't given up yet, that we haven't died yet, that we're still moving onward, that we're still focusing on something ahead of us, that we are at least running with the footmen. Stop letting things that are there to trip you up. Stop letting things that are there to give you headaches. Stop letting the things that God has already given you control and power over to accomplish. But you let these things trip you up. And that's what Jeremiah was focusing on. God had to straighten this joke out. God had to tell him, Jeremiah, you're focusing on the wrong thing. This is the problem that I have with a lot of the church people, is that they don't see the blessing that they have, but they're always focusing on what somebody else got. And you're looking at what they got, and you think that your neighbor's doing better than you. The person upstairs is doing better than you. The person around the corner is doing better than you. Well, you know what that says to me? That says that God is in the neighborhood. If we can look at our circumstances and see that God is blessing this person right across the street, then you need to have your doors unlocked. You need to have yourself aware that God can come into your house at any given time. So we make sure that we leave ourselves open to understand that we are not going to let the small foxes, we are not going to let the insignificant footmen wear us out, because that's their job. But God is saying, if you can't contend, Jeremiah, with these issues about how these people are treating you, how you perceive that these people are treating me, then you're not going to be able to deal with the horse. All right? Hope y'all still with me. Hope y'all ain't fell asleep. Y'all. All right? So anyway, don't let things destroy you. Don't let things wear you out. Don't let things take away what God has put within you. I told you last week that God has fully equipped you with what you need. He sees the blessing coming down the pipe, and God is going to bless you with that blessing. And what you're going through right now, God, it can't defeat you, because God has already looked at it. God has already handled the thing that He sees coming down the pipe. God has equipped you with what you need in order to get through what you're going through. So understand that. So these footmen, don't let them trip you up. Car broke down, footman. Oh, just talked about. Cursed out, footman. Rebuke, scorn, footman. Well, all of these things come to challenge you like some strange phenomenon is happening. These are the footmen. God is telling Jeremiah, don't let these things get you out. So you say, well, Pastor, again, you're telling me to not worry about the footmen because something worse is coming? So the horses are going to be a greater challenge. What this means, what God is talking about here is that what He has coming down for you, the blessings that He has coming down for you, the greater the challenge, the greater the reward. The greater the obstacle, the greater the victory. God is allowing you to go through these things because God got something far better, far something that your mind can't even attain. God's got blessings that He sees in your destiny, in your future, but you got to go through the footmen in order to get to run with the horses. Now, let me just talk about the importance of horses. And I'm going to end this up real quick. I just want you to run down these. I want you to know the importance of running with footmen because of the horses. And yes, there are going to be some greater challenges. There are going to be some greater challenges you are going to have to face. There are going to be some confrontations that you are going to have to deal with. Look. Daniel had to go through the lion's den. Joseph had to go from the pit to the palace to be the second man in charge of Egypt. The woman with the issue of blood had to spend all that she had to deal with, some people say not only the 12 years, but had to deal with 12 separate doctors to get to touch Jesus' garment to be victorious over. You have to go through something in order to receive the greatest reward. You have to go through something, you have to go through the footmen in order to contend with the horses. Jesus had to be lied on, cheated, talked about, mistreated. He had to be rebuked, scorned. He had to be plucked through by his beard. He had to be crucified. He had to be buried to get up, to give us eternal life. There is victory on the other side of your footmen. But you got to stay vigilant about running with the footmen, contending with the footmen, so you can deal with the greater things to receive the greater reward. Now, this is how God responds to Jeremiah. Now, let me just, because it's the horses. Let me read that to you again. If you have not raced with men on foot, and if you have raced with men on foot, and they have worn you out, how can you contend with the horses? If you just say to yourself, horses are going to come. If you are living righteously, horses are going to come. But God has not allowed, but God has orchestrated in your dilemma. He has orchestrated the situation where the horses that come, something will happen when the horses come that will give you something greater than you ever had before in your life. Now let me just talk about the horses. Horses. Here's some facts. Horses are strong. Horses are fast. They can endure long distances. An average horse walks 22 miles a day. A horse can run for long distances at the same pace. In other words, I'm not talking about walking or trotting. He can exert full strength for many miles at the same capacity that he started off with. In other words, his ending is just as strong as his beginning. A horse can run whether it's hot or cold. So that means whatever the temperature is outside, whatever the severity of, or how inclement the weather is, the horse is able to deal with that and not let that be a deterrent to what he has to do. A horse, also, if you think about this, a horse sleeps or rests while he's standing up. So here's what God is telling us about contending with the horses. God is going to give you the ability in the midst of whatever you are going through, whatever you are dealing with. He is giving you the ability to be strong in the midst of weaknesses. He's giving you the ability to outrun your dilemma, outpace your circumstances. Whether it's hot or cold, no matter the severity of the temperature of whatever you're dealing with, the God is going to give you the ability to go through the heat, go through the cold of what you're going. And here's an astounding thing, that God is going to restore you. He's going to give you strength. He's going to give you stamina to allow you to stand and deal and give you rest at the same time that you are standing. This is the impact. This is how it's so impactful. And I hope that you understand that what you're going through is for something greater. And God is going, how's this going to happen? It's going to happen because what you are incapable of doing naturally, God is going to do supernaturally. So the normal thinking of dealing with horses, you can't run longer than a horse, but God is going to give you the ability to run longer than the horse. You can't stand you can't rest while you're standing, but God is going to strengthen your feeble knees. God is going to build you up and give you the strength and capacity to rest while you're still, as long as you're standing, and God is going to give you the strength to stand. Again, no matter what you are dealing with, run harder, run faster, run stronger, be more fluent in dealing with the situations that you are dealing with. In other words, being able to go through it easier. God is going to give you the supernatural capacity to deal with the things that you are dealing with, to give you the strength and what we have to understand is that what we are going to receive on the other end of our problems. This is why you shouldn't be here. I've said this many times in my sermons. You should have been dead and gone. Some of you should have died from the drugs. Some of you should have died from the virus. Some of you should have died. But you're still standing. You're still standing. Why are you standing? Because God has given you the ability to run with the footmen. And if you continue to stand, you'll be able to see the blessings that God got on the other side of the journey. So don't quit. Don't give up. Learn how to run with the footmen. Learn how to do what Daniel did. Learn how to do what David did. Learn how to do what the woman with the issue of blood did. Don't let these small hindrances come to stagger or to stunt your spiritual race and your growth. Allow yourself to know that God is going to give. In my life, I have personal testimony that a lot of things that God has done. I don't have a degree in theology. I didn't go to school for it. I wasn't appointed by some great bishop. But God has given me to do things that I know I cannot do naturally. God has allowed me to do supernaturally. God has given me to accomplish things supernaturally that I know in my normal life that I couldn't do this on my own. I have trusted in God, and this is why we're living in this pandemic right now. Don't, as dreadful as it is, you that are alive, you that hear my voice, understand, this is not really the horses. This is still, if you are just standing, continue to stand. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Don't call it quits. Understand that you are still standing. You are still running with the footmen. You are still keeping up. And God, sooner or later, is going to send you something that is going to not only empower you, not only embolden you, something is coming down the pike that God is going to show you at the end of this journey, at the end of this race, at the other side of the river, on the other side of the mountain, that's going to be far greater than you can ever possibly imagine. Learn how to be consistent. Learn how to be repetitive in running with the footmen. Don't give up. Don't let the small foxes wear you out. Don't let the little circumstances trip you up. But keep on running. I can't tarry. I'm running up the King's highway. I hope you got something out of this. Make sure that you understand what you're going through right now is temporary. That there is so much greater victory, so much of a greater victory on the other side of this thing that we're dealing with right now. Keep your head lifted up, strengthen those feeble knees, stretch your shoulders out, and trust in God. And this is what God was telling Jeremiah. Don't focus on these things that's going around you. Don't because if you get all mixed up in all of these small challenges that are facing you right now, you won't be able to contend with what God has in store for you in the future. I love you. God bless you. Heaven smile on you.